All right, without further ado. Without further ado. Good enough. We have the see. Okay, cool. All right, so key thing here is the intent here is we want to reprogram subconscious thoughts, feelings, behaviors, which drives everything.
Yep.
So main idea here, we've talked about some of this, but I'm just going to review it just so we've got it all. We'll break down the theory and then we'll actually do the practical application.
Okay.
So main thing to realize is emotional state is driving everything. Feeling good, feeling confident, seeing success. You're going to take different actions, have more confidence, move forward with things. Not feeling good, feeling scarce, feeling like things are going to fail. We're going to see things differently. That was one of the first things.
Yeah.
So, what creates this? Right. So our state. Pretend like that was on purpose. Perfect. Exactly. For your drama. That was definitely supposed to happen. So emotional state, they create different actions, which will create results. So key thing here is we want to control emotional state.
Yep.
Now that's a lot easier said than done a lot of the time. Right? You hear a lot of people say like, "Oh, just think positive," or
Yeah.
you hear all that like,
Think good thoughts.
yeah, thinking thoughts. And if it was that easy, right? If it was that simple, then everybody would be multimillionaires with six-pack abs and the love of their life and no problems, no drama.
Yeah.
That is not the case.
We're human.
So exactly. So here's why that doesn't work, and here's how we change it instead. So there's we draw a lot of triangles, by the way. So you think of your mind and your brain here. This is your mind. This is the whole thing.
Yep.
And it's kind of like an iceberg. Up here we've got the conscious and the subconscious. This is about 0.01%. It's 99.99%. Conscious mind processes about 15 bits of information at a time, which is like 7 digits plus or minus two. Just like a license plate, a phone number, kind of the numbers, bite-sized chunks of information we're good at. Subconscious is processing 15 million. So subconscious is way more powerful than the conscious. So we try to use conscious mind. We're like, let's just think different thoughts, think positive, just think different thoughts. This is why this fails, because we're trying to use this little tiny tip of the iceberg to change the entire thing. Now, what's going on just below the surface? So just below the surface, you can think of everything going on there as programs.
Yep.
So you're gonna get programmed for. I'll go into how they're written here in just a moment, but the programs you have are creating the results you have. So sometimes people want to know, what programs do I have? It's what's going on, right? So if you got a program for success or making money, it's good. But at the same time, people might have a program for maybe there's like, I know how to make money, but also programmed to fail. So this is where you'll see a very, very common thing I see a lot of times is people have the roller coaster where they'll make a bunch of money and then crash, then make a bunch of money and then crash, or build a successful business and self-sabotage, or do well in their relationship. Right? I know how to meet people, I know how to meet the woman or meet my partner, but I don't know how to maintain it. I have a program for I can meet someone, but then I also have a program for a year into it, I start doing things, or I see parts of them, or I start making up story, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Right. So we've always got programs, and this is what's running your entire life. Now, if you ever want to see evidence of this in action, You can look at, you've ever been driving home and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm home and I don't remember the drive.
Oh, yeah.
So that's,
Oh, yeah.
that's you have a program for how to get home. So, do you ever get up in the morning and you do your morning routine, go to the bathroom, brush your teeth? Uh, if you ever catch yourself, you ever had one of those moments where you all of a sudden you kind of snap out of it and you're like, hang on, what am I doing in this room? Like I say, like a video game character almost, right? There's something running in the background.
Yep.
Now, most of these, for most people, are running out of conscious awareness, right? Here's conscious, this is all subconscious. So most people have no idea what's going on. But they say, oh, I can't make the money, I can't get healthy, I can't get the relationship, I can't, whatever it is. It's all out of conscious awareness. So the first step to all of this stuff is we're going to bring us out of subconscious and bring it onto conscious awareness. So that's one of the first things I'm going to do with you, is because as soon as we just have some awareness of what's going on, that's gives you a hand on the steering wheel. Right? You don't have full control yet, but you have a hand on the wheel. And now you can at least see it happening. And when it happens, you'll snap yourself out of it or you'll see a pattern. Once you see it, it's kind of like the magician revealing how the trick is done.
Mhm.
It's like it's still the trick is still happening, but now I know behind the scenes what's happening.
Yeah.
So the big first part of this is we're going to bring all this out of subconscious awareness into conscious awareness, get that handle on the steering wheel. So that's the first thing we're going to do. The next thing we're going to do is we want to change these negative programs into positive programs. Now, this is the tools and the processes that I've developed. Some of it we went over on that initial call. The cool thing about doing this in person and what we're going to be doing here live and in this session, the other session, I can do this for you. So instead of sitting there having to go through tools and questions and spend a bunch of time going through it manually, I'm literally going to do it for you using some kind of like hypnosis, mindset, and visualization, some pretty cool stuff that changes all this very, very quickly. But the idea is what we want to do is if there's a program for let's say getting distracted.
Yep.
Let's say I want to get like things out of or procrastination, very common. Even with some of the most high level people I've seen that look like they have all their shit together, staying problems. Focus. I've got one of my clients is a PE investor, plays with a lot of money, the mansion, the Ferrari, on paper, everything looks good. Procrastinating, anxiety, social, like all this, like nobody's immune to this stuff. Everybody has this. These are all artifacts of being human. So big emphasis with this. None of this means there's anything wrong with you. This is not bad. It's not good. It just is. This is, we're human, like you said. It's weird. So the other piece to this, here's the other reason why conscious change is so hard. It's because this is not only is this out of conscious awareness, but you can think of this water like it's a filter.
Okay.
And what it is, it's called the critical factor or critical faculty, depending who you ask. Doesn't matter what it's called, but it's essentially a mechanism that prevents you from going back and forth. So also baked into here are some other programs that we did not even pick up that go back to our ancestors. We naturally have a fear of heights. Right? We naturally have a fear of loud noises and big scary animals.
Yeah.
Right. Nobody needed to teach you that. You got that because your ancestors. So in here, you have a program that says heights are dangerous, which will keep you alive. It says big scary noises are dangerous.
Yep.
Yeah. And so the reason that your brain developed this mechanism doesn't want you to go in here and change it is because if I could just be like, you know what, I can just change my belief and now I'm not scared of heights, or I'm gonna, that big scary, that tiger is actually a pet. I'm just gonna go hang out with right, you get eaten or fall off a cliff.
Yeah.
So the other important takeaway from this is all of these beliefs and everything here, your brain's number one job is to survive.
Keep you alive.
Exactly. Survive plus reproduce.
Yep.
Which is an extension of survival. That was the worst handwriting I've ever had. Unfortunately, I do not have a program for good handwriting.
I don't either, so you don't have to worry about it.
Nice. I think that's like a smart people thing, like I just I hear that some of the I don't know.
Yeah, it's part of my dyslexia. So now I've always had. It's gotten worse. It's gotten older.
All right, perfect.
Yeah.
So you'll read my scribble or nobody.
Not a problem at all.
Cool. So key thing here is it doesn't want your brain developed protection mechanisms to keep you from going in here and changing with the programs that kept you alive.
Yep.
Kept you to reproduce. The other thing it does is it keeps these from coming out. So back in our tribal days, when it was really important to follow the leader and get along with the leader of the tribe, I have a program. How many times, maybe not you, but other people in other companies, how many people have a boss that they think is an asshole?
Oh,
A lot. right?
Yeah, I've had plenty.
Yeah. Um, so, but if we going back to our these days, you're not going to get killed for it, but maybe get fired. Or,
Yeah,
so it's not. No matter what, back in the day, you'd get thrown off a cliff if you went and said the leader was an asshole or talked
yeah.
about bad about the leader to the other people. So regardless, even though times are different and we don't kill people for this, we still have a program that says do not talk bad about the leader, at least to his face. And this is why. So the other thing that this does is this is filter also keeps some of these things from coming out consciously, which is why you hear people say, I have no, you hear someone say like, oh, I have no filter.
Yeah.
Or when I get drunk, I have no filter, right? Because there's ways to thin this out and there's ways to open this up. So that's what's going on there. So when people are, when there's a saying, now personally, I'm not a big fan of drugs and alcohol because I think they scramble the programming, it thins this out, and I just think they're just generally not good for a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
However, you'll hear people talk about, oh, there's an idea out there that, oh, if somebody did something while they were drunk, it's what they wanted to do, just the alcohol or their inhibitions.
Yeah.
I actually think that's probably likely to be true. Somewhere in there was a program that maybe consciously they suppressed, the filter kept it out, and then that filter wears down and things come out. It's also why people make, fun fact too, this filter wears thin throughout the day. So in the morning it's the strongest. And by the end of the day, so if you ever people make kind of different decisions at night than they might early in the day, it's because throughout the day this thing wears out. So just understanding this is what's going on. Now, the thing that we can do, the thing that we're going to do with this is a few things. So one, this going into a trance, the state I'm going to guide you through, is it opens this up, right? It opens up this filter, and it's kind of like me opening the door, right? I can open the door and I can hold the door, and you can go through it. Right now, I'm not, when we're doing this, you don't actually fall asleep, you can't lose control. I'm not even getting control. All I'm doing is I'm giving you more control over things that are normally out of conscious awareness. So through hypnosis, through trance, through visualization, we can open this up and give you access to this so you can make changes very, very quickly. The only catch is consciously, you can't open it yourself because if you're using your conscious, then the filter is there, right? Which is why meditation, while it's a good technique and it's a good useful tool, if you've ever tried meditating, you can kind of drop down a little bit, but then something happens, your conscious mind kicks in and it kicks you back out. So meditation is this constant game of kind of bouncing back and forth right here at this edge. So
it makes sense because if meditation worked, then like that filter wouldn't.
Yep.
The same situation.
Yep. Now I do again. I like meditating. I think it's a good way to calm and relax, and I think there's a lot of benefits to it. However, it's not the way. It's really hard to get access to these deeper level programming, and it takes a lot of willpower and repetition to do that. And since as business owners, time is important, speed is important, and most people don't have 20 years to sit around on the mountaintop meditating. We want to do this fast. So the process, the tools, the things that I developed that we're going to be doing are literally designed so that we can open this up and then say, what do you want? More focus, confidence, clarity, money, whatever it is. We can literally just go here and just start dropping things in there. And because it's stuff that you already consciously want, here's the key. Because it's stuff you consciously want, it'll just drop right in because it's stuff it's like you've been trying to put it there, but you've been trying to push up against this rubber band. You're pushing, it's pushing back. All I do is I just, take some scissors and cut it and it pops open. And now everything you've been consciously trying to push just goes right down in there. So that's how this works. That's the idea is we just need to change. Now, good news is we just need to change a few things. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to get rid of the negative programming.
Okay.
Now, here's what, let me draw one more triangle, maybe two more. So here's where a lot of this programming comes from. So people talk about early childhood development, right? The common wisdom is from ages 0 to 8, we're getting programmed through parents, schools, teachers, society, which is true, but that's not the whole story.
Okay.
There's 3 things that our brain is constantly seeking, and we develop strategies to get these things. I'll show you what they are in a minute, but understand that these are things that we needed as children and we need as adults. And the strategies we developed as children, we continue to use into adulthood because the brain says, as long as I got that thing, that strategy works. So even if it's not a great strategy. So for example, One of the things that we need is friends slash social connections. CXNS. So friends and social connections. We need other people, right? Serotonin, our happy chemical, literally comes from being part of the tribe.
Yeah.
From a safety standpoint, if we go back to our tribal days where all the brain really developed the way that it did, being part of the tribe was not just a nice to have, it was critical. Because if I'm out wandering through the jungle by myself and a hungry tiger comes up and wants to eat me, I have no defenses. I can't fight a tiger. And with a group, or you can think to the to the watering hole. There's the water. And if I'm here by myself and there's a tiger who wants to come eat me, the tiger's just going to come and have a great meal, free meal. However, if I'm hanging out by the watering hole and then you're at the watering hole, we look at each other and say, "Hey, Kevin, you know what? Go get some water. I'll watch your back. I'll watch for tigers.
Yeah.
Go have a drink. On me. You're safe. You're totally good." I sit there and I watch for tigers. All right, no tigers, no tigers. All right, cool. You're like, "Oh, that was good." And then, hey, okay, cool. I'm good. I'm drank. Okay, you go drink. I'll watch for tigers. And now I get a drink, and I watch for tigers. Now I get to drink safety. And we now developed the buddy system.
Yep.
And then there's someone else over here that says, "Hey, it's pretty cool. Can I join you guys?" You say, "Absolutely. You know the deal. Take your turn, do your watch, and you're in." And this spreads, and now all of a sudden we have a group of early, I mean, this probably goes pre-human, right? Because there's a lot of other animals that work in tribes or packs. But now we have the beginnings of a unit. This is also why, as a society, and especially as business owners or people that have worked hard to build something, someone that like the person that's almost universally despised, by at least by anybody that's hardworking, successful, that's built anything, is the freeloader. Right? We hate the freeloader because what does the freeloader do? The freeloader gets his drink and then it's supposed to be watching and doesn't do anything, sits down and takes a nap. And we think that Mark over there is got the watch. All of a sudden, a tiger comes in and eats eats the woman that I thought I was going to marry because Mark was taking a nap. Oh no, cool, Mark, you got yours, no problem. Don't worry about the rest of us, right? Fuck us, right?
Yep.
So this is why we hate the freeloader, because at a DNA level, we understand that guy gets us killed. They take and they don't give anything back. So getting
It's also another third generational wealth.
also yes. Yep. This goes very deep.
There are a few exceptions, but yeah.
There are. I would also argue a lot of those people have a lot of problems.
Oh God, yeah.
Right? Because
dear God, yeah.
you can get put into the system, but our DM, like, you can, even if you can be put into a place where you have everything physically, but the brain still knows, right? Still knows. People know, like, again, you can't, this is not conscious, this is not language, this goes so far back into our DNA. But yes.
Yeah, no, yeah. It's funny, I'm actually listening to a book right now called The Power of Strangers, which actually talks about that whole, like, they call it like the social apes.
Yep.
It's how for one of the reasons why we're able to even survive was the fact we were willing to not kill strangers and actually work with them. Versus others who went down that path.
Yep. It's funny you say that too, because the other side to that is the most dangerous thing, the scariest thing to humans is the them. Right?
Yeah.
This is why, and again, when we do more of like the messaging influence side, we'll talk a lot about the us versus them frame and how to kind of leverage that to make people feel like we're in the tribe. Because as long as we're in the same tribe, right, we're good. But them, they look different. They live over there. It's them. They're dangerous. They're going to come. They're going to kill us. They're going to take our stuff, take our women. Them, it's a dangerous concept.
Yeah. Which
is why if you listen to news or politics or anything, there's always a vague them. They're doing this. They.
Yeah.
Who's they? It's just they. Scary concept.
The group you're not in.
Yeah, exactly. And the cool thing, they're smart about this. Your brain fills in the gaps with whoever you want it to be. So you can talk to 100 people and say they're going to take your stuff, and you get 100 different versions of who is them. So crazy concept.
Yeah. It was the brilliance of Barack Obama's like hope and change, because everyone gets to fill in what they want to, what they're hoping for, what they want to change.
Yep.
It was a brilliant strategy.
Yep. Love him, hate him, politics aside. phenomenal, one of the best speakers I think we've ever had in the White House.
Oh, yeah.
And like I've studied I've studied a lot of his speeches, his speech patterns. He's very, very good. I don't know who he learned from, but he learned from some good, powerful people.
Yeah, he's
And his
clearly very smart. Like,
very smart, I mean, he knows, yeah, very great communicator. And his 2008, I believe, Democratic speech, which really put him on the map,
oh yeah,
is up there as far as like historical speeches, up there with I Have a Dream. It's up there, like it's up there in terms of like it's worth watching. And like I've watched it a handful of times and like I try to break it down into like how did he, I mean, it just that speech put him in the presidency. Like that's where you want it right there.
yep.
So again, love him or hate him, politics aside, powerful.
Yeah, I'm one of those people, I can always respect people when they're doing impressive things.
Yes.
Like I can like completely separate whether I like you, whether good or the bad, but you're like, you can respect that. Like, might not like it, but you can respect it.
Exactly. I think the highest level kind of that game is there's a phrase or a saying that I love, which is, it's two wings of the same bird.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
I think again, not to go into politics, but I think we argue about a small number of differences when we have a lot more in common. And it's a great strategy to keep people arguing over a few things. Granted, it's dividing more and more. But at the end of the day, there's a great saying, right? Is the government, whoever they is,
Yeah.
right? They'll take 99 of your dollars. If there's $100, they'll take 99, and they're like, hey, that guy's trying to steal your dollar. Like, again, it's all sides. Anyways, I don't want to get that. But anyway, so friends, social connections,
Yep.
critically important for us. So we're always looking for ways to seek this.
Yep.
Now, some people got this by doing well in school, doing well in sports. Other people got this by letting themselves get picked on, get beat up, get bullied. I went through this. I spent early years. I made friends by letting myself be the one that everyone picked on and made fun of. And I got friends because I let the neighborhood kids that I just happened to live with in proximity. One of them who in hindsight was probably actually being abused by his dad. Like in hindsight, which is a little dark.
Yeah.
But
Isn't it funny you look back as an adult, you're like, oh, that makes way more sense.
Yeah. He's a Korean kid, very aggressive dad, very angry dog in the house. Just a lot of
Oh.
I can see all the signs now.
Yeah.
By the time this guy, so there was three of us that used to hang out, and this guy's name was Steve. He used to beat the shit out of me and my other friend, and we just play video games and hang out. Right. And that's how I got social connections back then, because it was them or nobody.
Yeah.
Right. So friends, so regardless, so your brain says, I got friends and social connections, so that's a strategy for doing that. Now, good news is all these are changeable, right? But we don't know that they're happening. So I have a program that says if I let myself be smaller, let myself be put down, I make friends. There's a program for that.
Nope.
Then this in adulthood, this looks like the person that lets themselves. I'll give you an example. Actually, I have a client who's a VP of a hedge fund, and he was the same type of person when he was younger, and now at his office job or in his office, he's the guy that everybody puts extra work on. And he's the one that's working nights and weekends while everyone else is fucking off. Right? Because his brain has a strategy that says I do this, and people see this.
And they'll like me and respect me.
Yep. Exactly. If I do this, then they'll like me and respect me. Right? So friends and social connections, first leg of this. Next one is safety. Now, how do we get safety? Some people get it by there's an animal chart, which I'm not going to go super deep into right now, but we should see how we are on time. Yeah, go deeper into this another time. It's not really as relevant, but there's different animal profiles for how we do this.
Okay.
So, for example, the porcupine creates safety by being prickly, keeping people away. Right? Everyone stay away from you. If you get too close, I'll poke you.
Yeah.
And then as an adult is the person that keeps people at arm's distance and keeps people better away. Somebody else might get safety by being the pack, being in the group, right? The sheep. If I'm just in the group and nobody notices me, then I'll be safe in the group.
Mm-hmm.
This might be there's an adult, be the person that just goes with the consensus of the group instead of doing their own thing. You might have the chihuahua, right? Which is the one that's gonna be loud. If I'm loud, then no one's getting him. As an adult, this is the person that says, hey, what are you looking at? You looking at me?
Yeah.
Keep people at a distance. So how we get safety.
Makes sense.
So definitely ways to do that, but however your brain figured out how to get safety as a child, then we have that same strategy as an adult.
Yeah.
Last one is rewards. Now, this is going to be subjective. To some people, this might be recognition for, I was the star athlete or I won the spelling bee, and I got recognition from people, from my parents, from school, the rewards. For some people, the reward is dad came home in a bad mood and I hid in my room and made myself small and invisible so I wouldn't get the shit beat out of me. That's also a reward. So rewards is very subjective, depending on the person's experience. They're gonna have a way of doing that. But again, this pattern will carry over into adulthood. So these are the kind of the fundamental building blocks of where a lot of these programs come from.
Yeah.
So see wheels start to spin.
Yeah.
Wheels start to turn.
Yeah. That makes total sense.
Cool. So the first thing that we're going to do is I'm going to take you through a very just light guided exercise where we're just going to kind of go back in your mind. Your mind will figure it out. So if you find yourself like consciously thinking, don't work too hard trying to think. Your mind will bring up the pictures. So I'm just going to take you through a series of prompts and just let it speak out loud, stream of consciousness. And I'm here, I'm listening, but this is more for you to start bringing this stuff up. Because the next thing we're going to do is we're going to shift the perspective of how you see all of it. So again, what did we say at the beginning though? First step to all this is awareness.
Yeah.
So we start to see some awareness with how these things are being met. Now we're going to start to see where some of these patterns, beliefs, and things that are happening right now are coming from.
I like it.
Cool. All right. So go ahead and just sit back. Okay, here we go. All right, so just sit back, relax, put your feet flat on the floor. Just get comfortable. And then, like I said, I'm just going to walk you back through it. I'm just going to guide you back, ask you some questions. Just stream of consciousness, whatever comes up.
Okay.
And again, we're just going to start to pull some stuff up. You'll see it in pictures.
Okay.
Right. So if you're sitting there trying to think about it, don't try to think about it too hard. The picture will come to mind. You might have a scene, you might have a memory, you might see a specific place, person, whatever it is. And whatever comes up, that's totally fine.
Okay.
Right? No judgment, no. Don't even worry about analyzing it. Just think of this as more of an observation.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Take a deep breath.
Open or close, man.
Yeah, close me right. A deep breath all the way in. Let those breaths just continue on autopilot. And feel yourself just sinking down into the couch. Feel the couch supporting your weight, your feet on the floor. And just imagine the body just starting to relax. Find all the spots of any tension, any tightness down at the feet. Just unwinding and relaxing through the legs, the thighs, the abdomen, just relaxing and unwinding and uncurling. The chest softening, the shoulders relaxing. Sensation moving down through your arms, through your wrists, through your fingers, just everything, just relaxing, just finding yourself becoming totally present, totally peaceful. Just letting the world get put on pause. It'll take care of itself for a little bit. And we're just going to go on a little journey. Let this sensation of relaxation move up through the shoulders, the neck. Feel the jaw relax, tongue, little muscles around the eyes, skin on your forehead and scalp loosening and relaxing, and just everything just getting totally relaxed, totally loose. When I say the word sleep, you're not actually going to sleep, just your eyes will close, mind will relax, your body will relax. Just find yourself focusing on the sound of my voice. And the conscious mind may make an attempt to try in vain to keep up. That's totally fine. Your subconscious will know exactly what to do, exactly what to find. Now take a deep breath and just sleep all the way down, all the way deep, just like that, completely relaxing your mind, your body. 5, 4, 3, 2, and sleep. Just completely relaxing, completely letting go. Now I want you to see yourself, imagine yourself floating up above your body, looking down on yourself, sitting in this room on the couch. And I want you to zoom out even further. And I want you to see the timeline of your life from a bird's eye view, from the third person perspective. You see your entire life starting at the beginning, seeing yourself as a little kid, through teenage years, adulthood, all the way up until now. And just allow yourself to see that entire timeline. And in a moment, we're going to drop down into specific moments on that timeline. And you can just describe them out loud. Don't need to think about it. Don't need to analyze it. No judgment. Just describing the picture that you see. So now recall and find the first time that you changed a personal interest or hid a part of yourself to fit in. Nod when you've got that. Perfect. So now out loud, what did you change about yourself and how did it make you feel about yourself?
People knowing that I was in scouts and Boy Scouts there in school. I enjoyed doing scouts, but people in middle school didn't want to. I thought they made fun of me for it, so I didn't say anything. I didn't say a whole lot, frankly, middle school anyway. So.
Mhm.
Probably one of the early times.
Good. And how did that make you feel about yourself?
I could hide things to fit in.
Mhm.
Thing that I was good at didn't really apply. I couldn't connect with people at that time. I didn't feel like I knew how to communicate with them and connect.
Mhm. Okay. Good. So next, identify a moment where pleasing a parent or teacher felt more important than your own happiness.
Early days, just trying to get good grades for my mom and dad too, but just trying to like, do well in school.
Mhm. What was at stake and how did that shape your perception of love or approval?
I never worried about them not loving me because of it. It was just more of a wanting to please them and make them like could tell they're excited about that, so I wanted to go and do that to, you know, see their excitement level. And like, I never worried about them not being proud of me, but it was exciting to have them be proud of that thing I was doing.
Mhm. Now, find a time or remember a time where you felt unappreciated despite trying to please someone.
Time. Um, the last one probably was while I was working at Flash, which is the company that bought my second company.
Mhm.
Just 2 years of like not being listened to, despite knowing better what would need to be happening.
Mhm.
So happened there, happened at Passport, company that bought my first company. And then also there, like it's the recurring theme, the first company I worked for. Actually one of the reasons why I had to leave was because I finally spoke up about not being listened to, and it did not go over very well.
Mhm. So how has this pattern, has this experience affected your self-esteem or your approach to relationships in business?
I think in business, I probably try and prove the fact that I know, I'm trying to prove to someone else that I know what I'm doing, even when I know that I know what I'm doing, but seeking that approval of people who are like theoretically in charge, or actually in charge, but like from a position perspective, but not from an actual understanding or ability perspective.
Mhm.
Kind of not feeling at the same level as they were from a hierarchy perspective.
Mhm. So now imagine a situation, imagine a version of yourself where the need to please or fit in or get approval doesn't exist. And how would this alter your behavior or your choices? There was no need for approval, no need to please, no need to fit in.
It certainly would be a more confident version of myself, be able to interact with whoever I needed to without that anxiety of it going poorly. I've always, even as a child, like overthought conversations and like what might happen because of them. But if that wasn't there, then I would be less anxious and less like constrained by my own thought process about what might happen to actually do the things with or reach out to people or talk to people or interact.
Good. So I'm gonna go ahead and just keep that image, keep that feeling. Just let that just hold itself in the back of your mind. We'll come back to that. Now, I want you to think of an instance, or think of a time where you went to great lengths to get a reward.
My first company, going to great lengths to try and build something, and then almost a year of trying to get the company sold, or actually getting it sold, but almost a year doing that, despite multiple people trying to keep us from actually having it happen,
Hmm.
including a board member.
Was the reward for you, or was it for someone else's approval?
It was to make sure it was the only way I saw that the company wouldn't collapse, and the reward was somewhat for me, but it was more of like not letting down our customers and not letting down our team. Not being seen as a failure with the company,
Hmm.
and doing right by my people.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Which in that case we did, just it cost me personally doing that. And my need for approval cost me a lot of money there in the deal.
Hmm. So how would you tell the difference between the reward for you or for someone else's approval?
Well, I would say how aligned the incentives are for myself, or whether the actual reward is for me versus for them,
Mhm.
and who's getting more of it in the deal. Not that the other side should get all or nothing, but where the scale is tipped. And alignment, where it comes to line is alignment.
Mhm.
Like making sure that my interests are fully aligned with the outcomes as much as their interests are aligned with the outcome.
Mhm. So now describe a behavior that you frequently have done for rewards that you now regret or at least question.
I don't have a full reward, but just holding my tongue when I should be more willing to speak or to step into conversation or situations. It's more of the kind of social reward than there's actually any actual reward.
Mhm. Social rewards are very powerful. What was this one might hit deep if you're totally honest, is what was the need? What was the underlying need that you were trying to fulfill?
Oh, acceptance.
Mhm.
Oh, I like wanting to be part of a group that I was never growing up. I was never like actually, at least in my mind, actually part of the friend group. I was just like, friendly but never friends. So that having friends and having people who were actually friends is always important.
Mhm.
Elusive till recent years, but important. Because probably from like one I can remember, I had a good group of friends up until third grade when I moved. And then from that point forward until adulthood, never really had a good group of friends and or best friend.
Mhm. So how is this pursuit of these rewards, so is this pursuit of acceptance shaped your identity or career path?
Maybe more of a people, well, simultaneously it's maybe more of a people pleaser in terms of giving in to what other people might want, but it's also kept me from actually building the thing and achieving to the levels that I should have. Because if it means like their preference versus my need, I'll pick their preference. And I'll give of myself first.
Hmm. Do you feel like that aligns with your true self?
Not on a broader basis. I do still think that like I see myself as someone who's responsible for like the people who are like responsible for. That's different than allowing other people to take advantage of me for their own benefit.
Mhm.
I do think there are sacrifices that I need to make as a leader, which is different than sacrifices that I need to make for other people to increase their gain in the situation. Especially if I'm looking for their approval.
What was a moment that external validation or approval didn't actually bring you the satisfaction you expected?
Oh, selling the first company. I was it had to be done business wise, but it was a disaster personally. I I call it my successful failure. It was horribly for me emotionally.
Mhm. So what does that reveal about what you truly value?
Yeah, I was looking for that external, other people telling me I was good enough and or successful enough versus me recognize that myself.
So now bring back up that picture, that feeling of you, that version of you that doesn't need to please or fit in. Bring that picture, that version of you back up. And now with that, also imagine a life where your sense of worth comes from within, not from external rewards. Let's see, how would your actions and pursuits change? What would that life be like? What would your life be like if your sense of worth just came from totally within and they were not dependent on external rewards?
Much more freeing and uncapped. I think I've limit myself more so than what anyone else limits me. So that person would be able to achieve and do and build a life that actually is seen but not achieved yet.
Good. What would that feel like?
Success, stability, contentment.
Take that picture and those feelings, merge it with the other one, that version of you, and then just let that go to the back of your mind. And your mind knows exactly what to do with it. Just let it sit there. It'll come back here in a moment. So now, come back. I need to remember a significant conflict from your childhood. How did you handle it, and what do you wish you could have done differently?
I think probably my first big one, it really wasn't childhood, if you want to call it that, because I was pretty conflict adverse. Um, I was always the good kid, so I didn't really get into much conflict. Probably the biggest one was just the whole situation around my wife and we were dating at the time. We were dating and how all that whole situation went down. There was a big conflict between my parents and somewhat her and the school, and it's a lot of conflict there.
So, how did you handle it, and what do you wish you could have done differently?
I wish I would have communicated better about what I wanted. I wish I would have listened better. But really me communicating. I think a lot of the problem was me not communicating because I thought I could just avoid the problem by not saying anything. I think some of the challenges I grew up in where my dad's approach was always go and yell at someone about it. It was not typically effective. My mom would say nothing. So I was always left in the middle between the two of those. Whenever conflict arose, having to, but typically just my nature is falling back to my mom's side of just saying nothing and appeasing than having the conflict.
Mm-hmm. So, how have you seen yourself unintentionally mirroring this behavior?
I've gotten better over the years, but I do tend to up until like early, probably up until the last 5, 10 years, I did try and avoid conflict. Would hold my tongue, avoid situations that even in my mind might lead to conflict or someone being mad at me. I've gotten much better as I've gotten older. early days, that was not the case.
Mhm.
And I would just say nothing at my own expense, out of fear of saying something stupid or saying it the wrong way or it not going the way I expected.
Mhm. Can you think of, was there a recent situation, or the most recent situation where you felt unsafe or threatened?
Unsafe. I mean, I guess financially, I felt unsafe for the last few months. Probably since we bought the magazine. Been a pretty much of a year of feeling unsafe and uncertain about where we're at financially. I wouldn't say I've had any like physical threats. Typically try to avoid those.
Mhm.
But yeah, probably that.
How have you seen the same early childhood, the same coping strategies? How have you seen those come up?
Trying to avoid it, not instead of actually dealing with it head on, find other ways to ignore it and hope it gets better or have other people solve it. But not be willing to lean in and actually potentially fail over the to actually fix it. It's easier not to know about it.
Mhm.
Put it off, procrastinate.
Mhm. So are those, is that strategy effective?
No. Bad news never gets better with time.
Mhm. Good. All right, so I'm bringing back up that other version of you, where your sense of worth comes from within, and where your need to please or fit in doesn't exist. That version of you. And now I want you to also add in the ability to handle conflict in a way that makes you feel empowered and safe. I want you to now envision a scenario where you handle conflict in a way that makes you feel totally empowered, totally safe, and see what strategies are you using and how does it differ from the childhood strategy of avoidance.
Being more assertive, taking that first step and leaning into the uncertainty more so than avoiding it. And knowing the fact that no matter what happens, I'm fine. I will be fine. I will make the right decisions. Even when I don't. Like it's going to be fine overall.
Good. What does that feel like?
Safety, optimism, opportunity.
So take that version of you, take those feelings, merge it with the others, and let that other version of you, that version of you that doesn't need outside approval, addresses conflicts head on, feels totally safe, totally free, totally confident. Let that version of you just simmer in the background. So now let all of that just drift away, let your mind go blank. You found exactly what you needed to find. And take a deep breath and then just sleep all the way down, all the way deep, even further. The deeper you go, the further you feel, better you feel. Better you feel, deeper you go, as you feel your mind just totally relaxing and opening up. Now I want you to imagine yourself in a dark room. It's dark, there's no sound, there's nothing. Suddenly, you hear your mom's voice. It's muffled. It's not clear. And then everything becomes light. You come into this world. And for the first time, you experience pain, you experience discomfort. And as you move through the world, you have a backpack. And this backpack starts out empty. And as you go through the world, you meet people, you have experiences. Some of them are good, and some of them are not. And a lot of these experiences put bricks in your backpack. Every failure, every mistake, every regret, every painful experience added another brick to this backpack. And as you continue moving through life, every step gets harder and harder and harder than it needs to be. And with every step you go, you notice it getting heavier and heavier as more and more bricks get added to this backpack. And you keep going, you look down, you realize not only are you carrying around this backpack full of bricks, but there's chains around your ankles. These chains are keeping you stuck in the past. These chains go very, very far back. As you stop, you look around, and suddenly you realize that these bricks are not just in your backpack, but they're all around you. And these bricks make up a prison. And suddenly you look around and you realize that your life has been hijacked. You've had a bunch of bullshit installed by other people. And you realize you've been walking around thinking you're in control, but suddenly you realize that you're not. And as you admit it, you start to find all the things that are holding you back. Look around, look at this prison, the chains around your ankles. You realize that every single second that you're sitting in this prison, every single second that you're sitting in doubt, you realize that you are dying. You realize that you're passing the anniversary of your death every year without even knowing it. You see your clock is running out. You realize that if you don't find a way out, you realize that someday you're going to die. Your life is going to end with all of this stuff still trapped inside of you because you had doubt, you hesitated, and you couldn't find a way to just get out of this prison. So suddenly, you realize that this prison is a life sentence. Then you notice something interesting. There's a door. And even though you thought the door was locked, you realize that the door is already open. So you put your hand on the door, and you just push it open. You realize that this door has been open the whole time. As you open this door, you see these bricks, you see this prison around you just collapse and disappear into nothing. Because you realize that all of these bricks just represented a different thought, different beliefs that were keeping you stuck. These chains that have been holding you to the past, you realize that now it's time to let them go. You realize that you can just take the chains off. And you reach down, open them up one at a time, just take them off your ankle and let the chains just disappear and drift away into nothing, because that's what they are. They're just thoughts, they're just words in your mind that have been keeping you stuck, but no longer. Now, instead of waiting for permission to take action, you just do it. And as you walk now completely free, you realize that your backpack has no more bricks in it. This prison has disappeared, chains have been destroyed. And as you continue walking up ahead, you see a mirror. You look in the mirror and you see a warrior, a powerful warrior. This warrior is wearing armor. Every painful event, everything that happened left a wound or a scar. To protect yourself from further wounds or more scars, every time this happened, you put a piece of armor on. But this armor has also been very, very heavy. And you realize that the more you carry around this armor, the more it holds you back from going where you really want to go. So now, one piece at a time, you can slowly just begin to take off the armor. And it might feel scary, it might feel raw or exposed or invulnerable. You might even realize that some of these scars are actually still wounds that have not healed. As you look at these scars, you look at these wounds all over you, you realize that every single one of these is a source of power, something that could have destroyed you, but didn't. And all of these are just proof that you've been through a lot, and yet here you are, still standing, still strong, more powerful than ever. And that's when you realize that you're actually in a book. You're in a story of your life. And you realize that for a lot of it, someone else has been writing it. And now you can make a decision. Make a decision to take that pen and suddenly become the author of your life. Decide to be radically self-forgiving. Instead of seeing guilt and shame and failure, all you see is confidence and success. And you realize that even though you can't go back and change what happened, you can pick up the pen right now and write the rest of the story and decide where it goes next. We want you to write a story where you have unshakable belief, makes you completely unstoppable. You have massive success. In spite of everything that happened, you still stand tall, powerful, and you create the life that you want for yourself. Even though things might seem raw, things might seem vulnerable, things might be scary, no matter what, nothing has broken you, nothing has destroyed you before. And it certainly won't now. So now, as you write the story, you see a character standing right in front of you. This character is that version of you that doesn't need approval from other people. That feels completely safe, completely empowered. Version of you that doesn't hold yourself back, doesn't hesitate. That version of you that lives completely free. See that version standing right in front of you. You really get to know that version of yourself. What does he look like? How does he think? How does he see himself? How does he talk to himself? How does he interact with other people? How does he interact with his team, his family? You really get to know that version of yourself. And that character will continue to develop. The story's not done. As you sit there and you get to know that version of yourself, turns to you. He says, "Thank you." It's this incredible life, this incredible amount of success, freedom, happiness, peace, security. Only way that it was possible is because of everything that you've done, the journey you've been on so far. The two of you share this moment of mutual love, respect, appreciation. So you ask him, "What's the secret? How did we do it?" And he tells you, "You had to decide to forgive yourself completely now." He tells you that the only way that you're going to be able to make the transition, the only way that you're going to be able to create that is if you just completely forgive yourself for everything. You realize that the past is in the past. You cannot go back and change what happened. But now that you hold the pen, now that you're the author and the creator of your own future, you get to decide where it goes next. So now, realizing how easy it is, you need to make a decision. Make a decision to completely forgive yourself, let go of everything. Once you do that, you're going to merge with that version of yourself. And you're going to let go, leave this old character behind, pick up the rest of the story as this new character, realizing that it's same story, but now it's going somewhere very, very different. So let that forgiveness just wash through you. Let it wash away everything that's happened, all the pain, all the failures, all the setbacks, all the regret. Just let that total feeling of forgiveness just allow you to become completely free. Now, as you do that, feel yourself merging and becoming that version of yourself. As you do, you'll absorb how he thinks, how he sees himself, his thoughts, his habits, his patterns, everything just gets absorbed. It becomes you. You become it. When that's complete, you've completely forgiven yourself. You've merged into that future version of yourself. Your eyes will open, you'll be wide awake, you feel completely amazing, ready to completely take control the rest of your life. Hey,
Hey,
there you go.
Good. Sore.
Yeah. Good stuff. Good job. Cool. So, ooh, yeah. Take a minute. It's yeah, it was quite a journey.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. We're not done.
Oh, I know. I'm just, I don't know why we're just getting started.
You're welcome. Good job. Again, you had to do that for yourself, right? I'm here to guide and facilitate, but you, at the end of the day, you had to do that for yourself. I cannot do it for you. So you're welcome and good job. Thank yourself.
Thank you, me.
So, yeah. So now this, here's what we just went and mucked around down here, right? You did, anyhow, I don't even know what you fully did. You do because it was you, right? You're the one making the changes. You're putting this down here. I don't know what you saw. I don't know exactly what that was like. That's completely your business. Happy to listen if you'd like to share, but it doesn't, for our purposes, it doesn't, it's all an internal job. So a lot of times what happens now is this programming, all this is different. And so the operating system is different, but your conscious mind is like, I think something's different, something feels different, but maybe I can't quite place a thing on it. Don't even try to figure it out.
Okay.
Biggest thing I can, this is very, very common. Kind of like, you're updated your phone or your computer,
Yeah.
all of a sudden everything's there. Yeah, everything's different. You'll get used to it, and then you get used to it. Like you probably can't remember what a couple updates the look like on your phone.
Yeah.
Right. It's like that. So what'll happen is this conscious will catch up and it'll say, okay, this is the new operating system. In the meantime, don't even try to, don't try to analyze it, figure it out, any of that. It doesn't matter. It'll just adjust and get used to it. Because again, changes were made down here. This is what's really driving everything. So a lot of times I'll have people be like, I think I feel different, something feels different. And then they'll go and they'll be like, oh, then things will, like you're gonna feel one way in the room. Then when you go out into life, a few examples of things that have happened, right? Someone's like, oh, I'll give you just a few random examples. One guy was like, oh, got on the airplane. He's like, oh, he's got a lot of social anxiety. He's like, oh, I was in the airport, I was getting on the airplane, and you're a beautiful tall woman behind me. And normally I would have been intimidated. I just turned around and started talking to her. And I was watching myself talk to her. I was like, whoa, who's this guy just talking to her? It's things like that. Another guy who had a ex-wife, baby mama drama, could not even have conversations with her without blowing up and getting angry. He's like, holy shit. He's like, he's like, I'm not even mad, I'm not even angry. Like, we're just like talking normally, and normally I'd be very reactive. And now I'm just like handling it with confidence. Things like that. One guy is a crypto blockchain, something I don't understand. It's way above my pay grade technically. Knew who to call. He like made a call. He's like, oh, I called this investor and I knew exactly what to say to them. Boom, 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 boom. So you'll see, again, we got more stuff today, but point being, conscious mind will catch up. You'll start to see the shifts. And it's not uncommon to see yourself, just watch yourself doing new behaviors and be like, oh, here I go. The same way you would watch yourself maybe doing a bad habit or something. Now you'll watch yourself. Your eyes look brighter, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you look very different. You'll watch yourself like just do things differently. That you may, and again, we're gonna do another piece today, and then the second part too. Again, this all builds, right? Today, another triangle, since we're another triangles. Today, we're laying foundational pieces. Next time we'll do here, but the coolest, like we've got to do the foundational stuff to get to this stuff. But the next session we do, we'll do this is the cool stuff. Like, yeah, but we got to do the foundational pieces together. So all right, good to keep going. You want to take a quick break?
Let's go.
All right, awesome.
I'm good if you are.
I'm good. So I wasn't fully I wasn't fully transparent with the last exercise. The other thing that we did with those exercises and with going through those memories and those pieces, so we wanted to bring some awareness into these. Is it safe? Do you feel like you have more awareness into these patterns and how they're showing up today? Cool. The other piece to that, and I didn't want to tell you this at the time because you might limit yourself, but the other piece to that was, is it accurate to say you probably brought up and highlighted some unpleasant memories, maybe some painful memories or some things that don't feel the best.
Yeah, nothing traumatic, but yeah, I mean, it's certainly not positive.
Yeah. And you may not have, and let me be clear, you may not have anything massively traumatic. You might,
Yeah.
but not everybody has we'll call it a myth or a misconception that people think you need to have some sort of massive traumatic event
Yeah.
to have the stuff bouncing around in your brain. You might not.
Yeah.
But even if so, every single thing that has happened, I'll give you a quick version of this because I don't have enough time for the. Wow, I'm sore from jujitsu. I really did that one hand. Oof. All right, so if this is you again, oh, all right, that's a pretty bad drawing. Here's your hat. Wow, this is just, it's getting worse still already. All right, so this is you right now.
Yep.
This is the program you got going on. Your brain is always trying to predict the future. So what is going to happen? Sometimes we predict something that's good that we want. Sometimes we predict something bad that we don't want. In one of our very first session, you were seeing the event going negatively. You were seeing failure, and one of the things we did is we partially switched that lens.
Yeah.
Now, that was one hyper-specific instance, but our brain's doing this all the time. So if we have all those memories you got bouncing around in there, even if they weren't like massively traumatic, every single one of those gives an expectation because we're always looking to the past. We're saying what happened.
Trying to pattern match.
Yeah, exactly. We're saying what happened in the past to predict. Smiley faces.
Because the only thing that's actually happened, you literally can't predict the future.
Yep. Well, the only thing, this is a more philosophical, but technically the only thing that ever happens is right now. Because in the past, it was happening now. In the future, it's going to be happening now. So there's an everything but now. But we build a model. Right? We build programming based on what's happened in the past. And we don't like uncertainty. That's why uncertainty is very scary. But fear of the unknown. Right? It's unknown. It might be tigers, which is why that is. Right? Because if I'm out in the jungle and I hear a noise, and it's safer to assume that it's a tiger than nothing.
Than a rose.
Exactly. Because if it's a tiger, I stay safe and I go home and I reproduce and pass my genes along. If I assume it's a rock and it is a tiger, I get eaten and pooped out by a tiger and no passing my genes along. So we've actually been wired to see the worst in the unknown, which is why unknown is scary. So we're trying to say, even if I know it's going to be bad, even if I failed before, I know I'm going to fail again, that's still better than fear of the unknown. Right. Now, people are like, what? I have anxiety. What is anxiety? Anxiety is literally just seeing a negative outcome. Right?
Yep.
That's literally all it is.
And then feeling the emotion of the future now.
Yep, exactly. Because if I see a positive future, because whatever we see, right, we see in pictures, right? What is our emotional state? It's our physical, which is food, exercise, sleep, hydration, sunlight, right? Just physically in the body. There's self-talk, which is how are we interpreting and giving meaning to events? Am I taking this failure to mean I suck and I'm a terrible person and I'll never be successful? Or does it just mean that I need to get better at a skill? Or does it just mean some people are assholes, right? Right? Or does it mean that I'm great because I even went and tried in the first place? And the fact that I even went for it makes me awesome. That's my favorite frame, by the way. No matter what I do, it's awesome because I had the balls to even try it and I'll do better next time.
So you told my son yesterday, anything worth doing is worth doing poorly.
Yeah, right? Because it's there's that I don't have it up. I have the man in the arena. Right. So it's great. I think it's in my closet. It's we should put that up actually. We got it in here.
Roosevelt.
Yep. Let's see. I'm not gonna pull it.
Yeah, no,
yeah, man in the arena, right? Just doing it matters. And in a world where most people are spectators, just getting in there and doing it puts you ahead of and if you do it and do it poorly, next time you'll suck a little less, next time you'll suck a little less, and eventually you'll suck so little that you'll actually be good at it. So self-talk, and then the last piece to your emotional state is focus. And this is basically what's the picture I'm seeing. So I'm seeing positive or negative outcome. So if I see the outcome I want, I feel it in the moment, and then depending on how I'm feeling, My state drives my actions, drives results. So people are like, I have a fear of failure. You don't have a fear of failure. You just see yourself failing and you're afraid because you see yourself failing. I would be too. So this is what's going on. So to go back to the point here is you don't need to have massively traumatic events or anything like that to have a negative, anything negative bouncing around. Now, some people, like for example yourself, you have a lot of positive mixed with negative and mixed with other things, which can create this like one foot on the gas, one foot on the brakes, right? Which shows up as high days, low days, good days, bad days, on days, off days. There's a roller coaster.
Yeah,
Doing well, then procrastinating. Like that's what this looks like. Because you basically got two warring things in here, right? You've got part of your brain saying things are gonna go bad because they went bad before. Right. I had to take a bad deal, lost a bunch of money, and technically it worked out for XYZ, but that feeling of like, that like just that feeling,
yeah,
right, that's in there. So you have a bunch of this stuff bouncing around from those memories. So don't minimize it because it wasn't majorly traumatic. It is what it is. All right.
yeah.
So what we're going to do now, so part of this exercise we just went through was to bring up a lot of this stuff that's bouncing around in there. So what I want you to do real quick, and basically what we're doing from a, I won't go too deep into it today just for time, but in the future I'll break it down. But basically what we're really doing is we're sending electricity to these memories and to these images, because what we're going to do is we're going to highlight them, which we've already started to do. I'm going to have you do something, go a little deeper, and then we're just going to wipe them clean so that there's no more negative feeling or negative. They're just, you'll feel absolutely nothing about them. And then you'll feel empowered and excited for the future. So the idea is if we can just get rid of the negative, anything in there, then you'll feel clear, you'll feel light, you'll feel free, and none of this stuff will be in there, and all you'll be able to see is this positive future. So they're like changing the lens.
As you're talking about it, I think I know one of the core ones, and I'll tell you because it might help. T2 is for a company I worked for almost 10 years. Started off as a developer, worked my way up. And I told you story up, but I think it matters for all this because I wanted to move into a VP role. The VP boss retiring over an area that I knew very well, much better than my boss did.
Mhm.
I'd frankly like helped them build it out for the last 4 years. And there's a woman who's number two, and it was Irina Golshulkin, short little Russian woman. Number two in the company, wanted nothing more than to have her approval. I remember asking her, it was a Christmas party, probably 2 a.m. She'd been drinking. And I asked her, like, hey, what do you think about me moving into the VP role? She goes, I've given this a lot of thought. I'll never forget this. She goes, you're not executive management material.
Cool.
Not here, not anywhere. I was like, okay. And at that point, I realized my career at T2 was dead for 10 years. I said, where do you see me? She goes, you'd be a good first level tech support person.
Oof.
Mind you, had been managing the team for 5 years. And so at that point, I realized, yeah, well, I'm fucked here. And then spent another months getting out. And even then did stuff that like gave them 3 weeks notice without having a signed contract. She only been like told like that I was making a bad decision on where to go. Asked if I was joking about quitting, asked if I thought about my family. Like, so, and then even come to find out, she actually was planning on, had I not quit, she was planning on moving my position to Indianapolis because I was living here in Austin and putting me under one of my peers.
Oh, wow.
In the product management, not me, my role. So I would have been free to follow my role if I wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
With a unpaid move to Indianapolis.
Wow.
So yes, that was my, and it goes back to like I shouldn't, and even now I shouldn't care, but like that probably had more of an impact on me than, because for a while I really was one of those like, yeah, fuck her, I'm gonna go.
Mm-hmm.
And we did.
Yeah.
I mean, we fucked some shit up in terms of like we took a bunch of their customers, took a bunch of their employees for my first company.
Mm-hmm.
Cost her personally, we probably cost that company at least $10 to $20 million in value when they got sold, just from little old us. But like it still like eats at you a little bit. Like you shouldn't,
Oh, yeah.
like you shouldn't care, right? But
Oh, consciously, right, this is where logic and emotion, like all, people like logic, this is logic. Right? Logically and consciously, you know that you shouldn't care, but the emotion is in there, and emotion's not conscious, it's not logical.
Yeah.
Right. So,
And especially if I've been looking for her approval and I'm,
yep. Get it. Not just not get it, but get it reject, like pretty harshly rejected with it.
yeah,
Yeah.
because I really went into it thinking the fact that I'd done such a good job and I worked my ass off and traveled and how like, I wouldn't say I almost cost my marriage, but like literally I traveled like actually I didn't until you now you don't realize it, but yeah, I sacrificed like hell 1 year I think I traveled like 195 days for that company.
It's a lot.
Like cleaning up all the shit. It was all the shit that salespeople oversold.
Yep.
Like they'd send me out to go clean it up. And then after doing all that, then being told like, no, you're
Yeah.
shit, it was like 10 years ago. That shouldn't even but yeah, that's your point. Yeah, that's
It's in there.
been longer than 10
There's
years
a
now.
lot of
Shit,
yeah.
that's
And that's the crazy thing about this stuff is if it's in there, it's in there.
yeah.
Right. The stuff from, dad yelling as a kid, mom bullying, all that stuff, it's all in there. Right? It's all built this worldview, right, which again creates conflicting. Again, it's worked. It's got you this far.
Yeah.
The next level though is
Yeah, I have to actually let it go.
yep. Cool.
Cool. What are we
Good
doing
news.
next?
So next we're going to let it go. And I'm going to take you
Okay.
through a process that is to describe how it works would probably take me a whole hour and it doesn't really matter. But
Okay.
basically what this is going to do is by the end of this, all that stuff is going to feel the way you feel about it right now. You're going to feel literally nothing about it. You'll remember it kind of, it'll be there. You're like, oh, I kind of remember that happened. Zero emotion, zero emotional charge, just neutral stuff that happened. And a lot of times it gets even harder to act. Like you can if you really try. A lot of times it's like, I kind of knew it was there, but it gets hard to grasp. So what I want you to do is take about 5 minutes and you got paper there?
Yeah.
Take about 5 minutes and just bullet point. You don't have to go deep. Bullet point any memory or anything like that that has any sort of unpleasantness attached to it. So, and you don't, when I say bullet point, it's literally just like the whatever her name was telling me that I'm not management, right? It's just as long as it's that, because again, it's not, this is not for me. All it is as long as you can reference the memory, then that's all we need. So just bullet point out in chronological order as best you can. Yeah, bullet point all of that in chronological order as best you can. And even if it doesn't seem to make sense, don't worry about whether you should feel that. Like you're like, I shouldn't feel that way, but you do. So it's not about should or shouldn't, it's just about whatever is there. So just bullet point out everything that's got any pain, negative emotion to it, unpleasantness. And in about 20, 30 minutes, it's literally gonna be gone.